This is Andy Paroff, Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm joined by Dan Rafael, a boxing correspondent for many. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
It's good to hear. Obviously, we're out here in Las Vegas ahead of Saturday night. Deontay Wilder, Ruiz-Ortiz 2. What are your thoughts on the rematch?
Well, the first fight was a terrific fight. I think the second fight's another good fight also. I mean, you got two big guys who can end the fight at any moment. Any punch in the first round, any punch in the 12th round, and any punch in between. So, not to parrot what Deontay was saying at the press conference, but don't blink. I mean, you just never know. Don't look down, don't look up, because it really could be the kind of fight where one shot can end the fight any moment.
Do you anticipate it to be similar or different to their first fight?
I mean, I think it might be a little different in the sense that it might get going a little quicker. If you remember the first fight, for 4 rounds, there was really not much going on. They know each other a lot better now. They know what each is capable of doing. So while they're not going to necessarily go there to try to trade right off the bat, because that would be kind of crazy, I think that they both probably have a game plan in mind where they're going to maybe try to get going a little quicker to establish themselves more so than they did in the first fight. But again, it's a new fight, and they both look in great condition. I figure another explosive matchup, whatever happens.
A lot's been spoken about with regards to Lewis losing his weight, losing around 20 pounds in preparation for this fight. What are your thoughts on that when you heard it?
Well, I don't think he actually lost 20 pounds. He definitely trimmed down a little bit, but I don't think it's necessarily 20 pounds. That would be really surprising, because he still is a big, strong guy. But look, he hired Larry Wade, who's an outstanding conditioning and strength coach. Put him through the training camp. They did a lot of work on his conditioning, and I watched him train. I was out here in Las Vegas at the Canelo Alvarez Sergey Kovalev fight about 3 weeks ago, and went to the gym and watched Luis train one day. Had a media day, and he looks in great condition. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So whatever Larry was doing with him, it's worked, and we'll see if he can translate it to the fight. He says he ran out of gas in the fight, particularly sort of punching himself out a little bit at the end of round 7. Maybe this time, with a little extra, he could get Deontay out of there if he gets him hurt.
Who do you think there's more pressure on in this fight?
I think it's got to be Deontay Wilder. I mean, Ruiz-Ortiz, he's getting a second opportunity that wasn't necessarily expected. Deontay didn't have to give him the shot. So, he wants to win, I'm sure, and he's very hungry for the victory, but there's not a lot of pressure on him. He lost the first fight. Deontay Wilder, he is the champion. He is undefeated. He is the bigger star. He's the bigger name, and he's got a giant contract signed to fight Tyson Fury in February if he wins. So I think there's definitely more pressure on Deontay Wilder. It's going to be his crowd that's here rooting for him. So, yeah. But Deontay's the kind of guy where pressure doesn't really seem to get to him. To me, he seems pretty laid back and easy with that. He doesn't seem like he takes it and it gives him a problem. He thrives in it. It seems to me.
You just touched on that that rematch next year with Tyson Fury, provided all goes to plan on Saturday. What are your thoughts on the rematch between Deontay and Tyson?
Well, it's the biggest fight in heavyweight boxing, except for the rematch between Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz that takes place at the end of the year. It's a huge fight. Be here in Las Vegas. They put on a terrific fight the first time around. A controversy with the draw. I expect another one. I mean, they know each other for 12 rounds now. Deontay knows that Tyson Fury is a very strong boxer that can give him problems with his movement and his speed. And Tyson Fury likewise knows that with one shot, Deontay Wilder could knock him out. He dropped him twice. Most referees probably would have stopped the fight when he got dropped in the second time in their fight. So they've both learned about each other and about themselves. And I think we'll see a carry-on in the second fight.
Tyson obviously having a brief stint in the WWE as well. What was your thoughts on that little move from Tyson?
Oh, listen, I mean, I think he had fun. He made a lot of money doing it, and why not? I mean, it's something to do. He wasn't, he had just come off the back-to-back fights with Schwartz and Otto Wallin, and while he's waiting for Deontay Wilder to do his business to get the rematch set up, and he wasn't going to be training anyway because of the cut on the eye. Why not go out, have fun, make a ton of money, bring a ton of exposure to yourself that people might not have known you in that audience that watches WWE. So he accomplished a lot of things. He got himself a much bigger profile with an audience that isn't normally seeing him, made a huge amount of money to do it, and I assume he had a good time doing it.
You touched on Ruiz-Joshua 2 as well, but in your opinion, which fight is bigger in the world of boxing, Ruiz-Joshua 2 or Wilder-Fury 2?
They're both huge fights. It's hard to say which one's bigger. I think maybe Fury and Wilder is a little bigger just because it's two big names instead of Joshua against Ruiz, who's become a bigger name because of the upset. But I still think there's probably a lot of people out there that need to see a second fight before they believe that Ruiz is for real. So I guess, worldwide, maybe Wilder and Fury is a little bit bigger, but certainly Joshua and Ruiz is a gargantuan, massive fight.
And on Ruiz-Joshua too, what are your thoughts on it taking place out in Saudi and then the rematch itself?
I mean, look, they decided to go to a place where they were going to pay a lot of money to bring the fight. I'm disappointed because I'm not going, but I would have liked to see it either be somewhere in the United States or in the UK, where I felt it probably should have been. But it's a twofold thing. It's like it's hard to argue with the money, but if you observe the way the Saudi government handles itself, they bring these big events to shine a positive light on a regime that's very oppressive. And Eddie Hearn uses the line that, it's good enough for the golf tour, it's good enough for the auto racing tour, it's good enough for World Wrestling Entertainment, and that's all well and good, but that doesn't mean you have to be doing it also. But again, as he also made the point, it's really Anthony Joshua's money and Andy Ruiz's money, and so who are they to not go where you can make the most money? I guess I would look at it like this. They're making huge money no matter where they go. Anthony Joshua is never going to want for $1 in the rest of his life, or a pound for that matter. You don't have to take every last dollar on the table. But by all accounts, they've treated them very well. They're building the stadium, and for better or worse, the fight's in Saudi Arabia, whether anybody likes it or not, and that's where it is.
And with the fight itself, what are your thoughts on it as we get closer? How do you kind of see it playing out in the rematch?
Well, I mean, all respect to Andy, who pulled off a great upset, a terrific fight. Andy's a good guy. I've known Andy for many, many years before he was ever even considered a heavyweight contender. But on the night that he won the title, and I was asked about the rematch possibility then, I always felt that Joshua would be the winner. I feel like he's a better athlete. I feel like he may have underestimated Andy a little bit because he was so unknown. He was coming to fight in America for the first time, so there was pressures there. And I think he knows that this is, a do or die kind of fight for him. And so I just feel like that he's got a little bit more to lose, and he's a more talented guy overall, in my opinion, bigger and stronger. Maybe not as quick, but just a better overall fighter in my mind. And if he did a good training camp and got himself in the right frame of mind, both mentally and physically, I think it should be Joshua to turn the tables. People talk about, he got knocked out, it's going to be even easier this time for Ruiz. I'm like, well, sometimes that's the case, but I was just talking to Lennox Lewis here at this press conference, and I remember, his fights with Rockman, which I covered those fights, and he got knocked out in the first fight and turned the tables and scored a huge knockout in the rematch and regained the title. So, anything is possible, but if you make me pick, I'm picking Joshua all the way.
And the final thing I want to touch on before I let you do your own thing, for one fight which didn't touch on, Leo Santa Cruz and Miguel Flores this Saturday on this undercard, your thoughts again on that one?
Well, they were supposed to fight earlier this year as featherweights when Leo was supposed to defend his featherweight belt I believe it was in February. Flores suffered an injury, had to pull out of the fight. He ended up fighting a late replacement, Rivera, instead, and won handily. And now they're just doing it 4 pounds north at 130 pounds for another belt. Leo was a huge favorite to beat him back in February. I see no reason to alter that. I mean, Flores is gonna try hard. He seems like a good guy and very hungry, but there's levels in boxing, and Leo Santa Cruz is one of the best his weight classes, and Flores is very good, but I think a notch below, and I think it's a somewhat comfortable Leo Santa Cruz victory.
Dan Rafael, I appreciate your time. Thanks for speaking to myself and Boxing Social.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.